Okay, welcome back to another episode of Aselia the Eternal. Hope it was worth the wait. Apologize for the delay here. I've been playing this mission, no joke, on and off for like the last 5 weeks. This mission is really cool, but really tough to get everything in, and I really wanted to get everything. But it ends up being probably my favorite mission since like maybe mission 1, in just terms of the complexity of the strategy and how much time I spent trying to figure out how to make everything happen here. The goal of this mission is fairly straightforward. We want to take Malorgan, and we have 3 different paths that we can take. We can go through the west, we can go through the southwest, or we can go through the southeast here. Each path has its own advantages and disadvantages, but ideally we would be able to take all paths, because we want all the mana, and we want all the ether, and we want all the researchers, and all the engineers. And the only way that we can do that is if we literally split up our formations and go each direction. And that's really where the challenge of this mission comes from. There were a couple of times where I got it within a couple of turns, and really struggled to get it lower than that, and I ended up having to totally revamp my strategy in order to make it possible. So hopefully you will enjoy watching me actually execute this strategy in real time. Just so everybody is on the same page here, I'm going to be making backup saves for this mission, because I have historically been very bad at executing my strategies on the first try, and because I can't be bothered to learn how to edit videos, I end up with significantly worse commentary the second, third, fourth, etc. time than I do the first time. So I'm going to make backup saves to hopefully avoid that. The first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to demolish the 2 facilities in Ransa here, because we just don't need them. I don't fully know what's going to happen in the next couple of missions here, but I suspect that we're probably not going to come back here anytime soon. That's just my guess. The other thing that I want to point out is that we start this mission the exact same way we ended the previous mission. So this is kind of the best possible outcome here, because we have 1 formation in Slegid, and then we have 3 formations ready to move into Slegid. If you ended up with formations back here, in these spots here, they're going to take longer to get into the action, which may make this strategy less viable. So just something to keep in mind. The first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to build a recovery facility. Doesn't matter who we use, because the recovery facility takes 1 turn. So we'll just use Yotia to do this. And we're going to move everybody up into Slegid. We are very pressed for time in this mission. We're going to be at just about exactly 30 turns. We could maybe optimize it a little bit more, but honestly, I couldn't be bothered, because I am tired of having to just try this mission over and over again. And we're going to do Utica with Trident Sword 2. We're going to do Hallian with Accurate Block 3 here. And we're going to do Yuto with Passion. This mission, I think, really serves as kind of a wake-up call to the fact that some of our units are really not very competitive right now. Nymthor in particular is a real weak point, because she cannot take a hit from any of the Heavensword enemies, which makes her the only green spirit we have that cannot take a hit from the Heavensword enemies. So in certain situations, we really only have 2 or 3 formations that we can use, rather than the full 4 formations that we can use. So the challenge of this mission becomes playing with the units that we have, working around their unique weaknesses, and then, if we can, training the units that need training in order to build up our roster of units so that they are more viable and more effective. Fortunately, Hallian can survive this hit with Passion. If she couldn't, we just wouldn't use Passion, we would use something else. Something that's important to note with this mission is that these formations move every 2 turns rather than every turn. So one of the big timing challenges with this mission is that some of the enemies take a lot longer to get to you than they should, which means that in order to play this mission efficiently, you have to go to them rather than letting them come to you, right? If these formations moved every turn, we could just fight all of them in Slugged. But we can't do that because by the time we kill these formations that are immediately around Slugged, these enemies will not have made it to us. Or some of them won't have made it to us. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. Now we're going to build a training facility here in Slugged. We're going to use EO for this. And we're going to use Yotia to build a Ether Jump client here in Rosario. The reason why we're using Yotia here is because she is the best engineer that we have, so this dramatically reduces the build time. It doesn't particularly matter in this case, but in the future it might, so we're just going to get into the habit of doing that. Let's go ahead and swap our formations here. We want Shia, Asperia, and Nanadu here. We want Utica, Yuto, and Celia. We want Nymthor, do it like this, Nelly, Nymthor, and Himika, and then we want Halion, Aselia, and Orpha in formation 4. And really our goal here is to just sort of clear up the enemies around Slugged so that we can afford to send enemies down southwest. Based on my testing, the path southwest needed the largest investment in order to be successful, and it also happens to be the longest path that we have to traverse. So we need to be able to send multiple units down southwest in order to clear up this group of formations. Otherwise, it just takes us too long to make it down here. And we need to finish the mission down here if we want to get all of the rewards and all of the resources that we can get from this mission as well. So we could send somebody down now, which is an effective strategy. It's just not effective enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on these enemies around Slugged, and then by the time these enemies get closer, we will have cleared out these units, and so we can send most of our units down to meet them. We're going to attack with Formation 1 first. Because we have access to the training facility now, we can afford to be really, really aggressive with the trades that we're making, which, similar to previous missions, is going to be really important for meeting the necessary time limit here. If we take just really safe trades, we will not be able to kill these enemies in time. And so we're going to be using Nanadu to nuke a bunch of enemies all at once, and then we're using Shia here to hit the Heaven Sword enemy so that the Heaven Sword enemy does less damage, is the long and short of it. It's a little inconsistent how Heaven Sword works. I think it has to do with the amount of damage that you deal to them, but I'm not 100% sure on that, because sometimes it seems kind of inconsistent. But as a rule, I think that if you're able to damage the Heaven Sword enemy before they damage you, the attack does seem to do less damage. So that has been my strategy for this mission, and will be my strategy for missions moving forward. We're going to attack south here, because we don't want to actually, let me just talk about this. We don't want to kill this enemy, because then this will pull one of our formations out of formations, because it'll pull them off of Slugged. These formations did not move last turn, so they will move this turn. So we want to keep this space open, so that we can attack them from Slugged rather than attacking them from No Man's Land, if that makes sense. Attack with Formation 4 here. Halion has just enough health to survive this hit. We're going to equip Fury. Nope, Fury. And we're going to equip Flame Shower. Because this is a Blue Spirit as a defender, we'll kill this Blue Spirit with Fury and then kill this Blue Spirit on the follow-up attack, which means that Halion only has to survive 2 hits here. We could have alternatively used Inferno, but I found that this strategy worked. I hope. And then Flame Shower will kill this Blue Spirit. And considering we did that much damage through their defensive ability, we can just one-shot this blue spirit with Fury. We just barely survived that. Eien is not our best defensive unit, but she is really, really reliant on HP, and so that does kind of work to our advantage in situations where, or I guess I wouldn't say it works to our advantage. It does mean that she can actually tank some hits, though, compared to a character like Nymthor. Nymthor is proving to be a strategic liability, unfortunately. We're going to attack with F3 here. We're going to do triple swing 1, and we're going to use Ice Vanisher just to prevent this enemy from healing themselves, so that we can kill them this round. Again, my goal in this mission is to minimize the amount of opportunities Nymthor has to put herself in danger, because she does not have the ability to survive a lot of the hits that I need her to survive, or that I would like for her to survive. She is going to be probably my highest priority to train, and we are going to be able to get some training done in this mission, just because I need her to have a better defensive ability and I need her to have more HP. Otherwise, I really question my ability to take attacks later on in the game. It's just Heavensward enemies that cause issues, to be clear, but considering that we're fighting so many Heavensward enemies, I mean, that's what I have to plan around, right? I have Heavensward enemies coming from every direction, and the fact that I have a green spirit that can't take a hit does really significantly reduce my ability to respond to that challenge. We've got Aselia here to nuke this green spirit, and then we've got Utica to do chip damage to this blue spirit. But we're really just kind of doing chip damage here. We will defeat this enemy on the follow-up attack when they attack us, alternatively. But this enemy is not challenging. Utica, on the other hand, is proving to be a real strategic benefit of whatever the opposite of liability is, because she has enough HP to take a hit, but she's also useful in all three roles. She's kind of a better version of Yuto at this point. We're just going to defend here with Formation 1 to just do as much damage as we possibly can. This formation is not in threat at all, and because they are sitting on a town, we can be really, really greedy, I guess, or maybe greedy is not the right term. We can be really aggressive with the way that we use Nanadu. Nanadu is probably one of the best characters that we have, but because she only has 4 charges of Flame Shower, if she wasn't in town, we would have to be a lot more careful with the way that we use her. But since we're in town, we can kind of just do whatever we want. And then this formation up here should attack us as well. Oh, actually, some of these formations move faster. I didn't even notice that. A lot of the formations only move every other turn. And then we'll just defend here again. This Heavensward enemy cannot do any damage to us, so we can really block this with anybody, but again, we can afford to use Nanadu here, so we're going to use Nanadu here just to prevent any accidents from happening. My cats are playing, so I don't know if you can hear them or not. Like I said, totally unnecessary use of Nanadu, but we can do it, so we might as well. Nanadu still does a huge amount of damage. She is incredibly strong, given the fact that she's only level 13, and some of our units are already level 12 or level 20. She is very strong. Okay, turn 3. We're going to attack with Formation 2. And we're going to attack south. Let me specify this in the guide here. before I get in trouble. And we're gonna equip. We're gonna do it like this: Shrouded Sword 2, Impulse Blow, or Ice Banisher 3. Aselia is really useful here because her Ice Banishers activate twice, which can prevent this enemy from using Inferno twice. That's also true for Aselia, but I believe that Shia and Nelly only activate once, which means that you do have to be careful with the way that you use them. But this will allow us to neutralize and then kill this red spirit, so any follow-up attacks don't even have to worry about Inferno, which is quite nice. We didn't need to use Shia, or Celia specifically for this, but since she's already in the formation, we might as well. I do try to avoid moving characters around in formations unnecessarily, just because it's kind of a pain to keep track of, and it's not particularly fun. I think the game's UI suffers a little bit, but the strategy works in this case with the characters the way that they are, so we're not going to worry about it too much. And then because Shrouded Sword goes twice and ignores defenders, she does a lot of chip damage to this attacker as well, which is quite nice. Again, trying to neutralize Nymthor as a strategic liability, we're going to attack here. We're going to put Nelly into the attacker role, and we're going to use Lightning Fire. This would allow us to blow up this defender and then defeat this attacker with chip damage. Some of these enemies do not... What makes this mission kind of challenging is that some of these enemies really don't do very much damage at all, and then some of them do a lot of damage. And so being able to use the right characters in the right role, you know, Nymthor is not useless on this mission, it's just you have to be very careful with the way that you use her. If that makes sense. Himika is still doing a lot of damage. She's still probably one of our best offensive units. I have her in this formation specifically because she kind of works as a secondary blue spirit in a lot of ways. Because she can do a lot of damage in the attacker role, so if I need Nelly to use Ice Vanisher on something, I'm not sacrificing damage to do that, if that makes sense. And then as we progress through this mission, there will be certain checkpoints where reinforcements will spawn, which does, again, make this mission a little bit more challenging. We're going to attack here with Formation 1. We're going to use Impulse Blow to blow up this soldier, this red spirit, before they have the chance to even use Inferno. And then we're going to use Flame Shower to do a bunch of chip damage on the other enemies. Shia is still doing a lot of good work here. I want another ability besides Leap Attack, but her ability to just blow up a supporter is still very strong. I think she did like 1700 damage there with that one attack, which is kind of absurd considering that it ignores defenders. And then Nanaru almost did about like 3000 damage there with that attack. So again, this formation in particular is very strong. I think potentially you could put someone like Utica in here or Celia in here and it would be even stronger, but as it is right now, this formation is very strong. And then we're going to use Formation 4 to attack to the west. This formation really is not very threatening. I guess technically this enemy is threatening to Orpha because how little HP Orpha has, but I mean, Hallian can take this attack no problem. With Fury and Inferno, we will be able to kill 2 enemies this round of combat. Orpha has turned out to be a surprisingly good unit. The fact that her red Divine Magic abilities activate twice means that she's doing about as much damage as a Blue Spirit is, which does make her a very useful offensive presence. I wish her Flame Shower was better, and I wish she had more HP. Those are kind of like the big weaknesses of the character, in my opinion. But she's doing quite well for herself, and she will be a very important part of this mission for the first time in quite a few missions, actually. Oh, here come the cats. As you can see, she really doesn't take this hit very comfortably. She can take 2 hits, but I don't want her to be taking hits like that very often if I can help it. And then this enemy, I think, should attack us. Yeah. And we're going to defend with F2 here. This really doesn't matter what we do, but because this enemy's almost dead. So we're just going to use whomever. We do want to sort of reduce Utika's mind value here, because we do want to make use of Full Moon Sword. At some point, I would like to continue to level up Utica so she gets a different ability, because I want my characters to be high mind. I don't know. I think it almost feels like it's harder to keep them at low mind, which is an interesting problem to have. Okay. So, turn 4. Let's make a backup save here. Is a big challenge, or a big turning point, because this is where we're going to start to split up our forces. These formations right here, these two, are going to move every other turn, which means that we have at least 8 turns, probably closer to 9 turns, before we have to worry about them. These formations are right on top of us already. So we do need to keep somebody here, but then we want to start sending units southwest in order to start making progress on this mission, or in this this path, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So with no deviations and perfect offensive momentum, it's going to take us 18 turns to make it all the way down to whatever the hell this is, Eien Shaletta. Ideally, we want to be able to take Diodogon, which means that we're looking at 20 turns with perfect offensive momentum. We're on turn 4. Realistically, it's going to take us 2 or 3 turns extra, which means that if I move now, basically, if assuming the strategy works, of course, we should make it down to Eien Shaletta at exactly turn 30. So we gotta start moving. Because Nymthor really can't take hits from these enemies here, right? I've got 3 Heaven Sword enemies, 4 Heaven Sword enemies. I'm going to leave Formation 3 here so that I can train them and use them to defend. Also, because I have Nelly and Himika, this kind of works like having 2 Blue Spirits in this formation without actually having to commit 2 Blue Spirits. So I felt like this was the best formation that I could come up with, or the best strategy I could come up with to kind of make up for Nymthor's weaknesses while still being able to use her as a unit effectively. This also gives me the ability to train her, and she really desperately needs training because she needs more HP and she needs a better defensive ability. Otherwise, she's not going to be able to keep up in future missions. So we're going to move Formation 1, Formation 2, and Formation 4 down the southwest path, and we are going to train Nymthor. And even though we built that Ether Jump client, or are building that Ether Jump client, we have plenty of Ether right now. So we can afford to do both. We can afford to train, and we can afford to build that infrastructure for future missions. Because we will want to go back up there to Rosario in order to defeat a dragon. We have to defend with F3 here. This really doesn't matter what we do, so we're just going to use Fireball and Impulse Blow. What I really want from Himika is a little bit more HP and slightly better offensive options. She does do a lot of damage, but there's kind of a pretty steep drop-off between her best attack and her second best attack. And so I would like to have access to another option that I can use either in the attacker role or the supporter role that kind of gives her a little bit more longevity in longer missions. She still does a lot of damage though, don't get me wrong. Being able to do like 800 damage there with the fireball is pretty good, but the fact that she only uses fireball once per round of combat does limit her usability, does limit her usefulness here. This enemy right up here is a Heaven Sword enemy. If I come over here, Fire Enchant, Heaven Sword, which means that I have to have enemy characters that can take Heaven Sword attacks here, here, and here. So you can see where the challenge of this mission comes from. We're on turn 5. We're going to continue to move our characters south. And while we're really pressed for time on this path, and we will be pressed for time on this path eventually, we really want to give this enemy time to get closer to us. So we can afford to just train Nymthor. We're not super worried about any kind of offensive momentum with Formation 3 right now. And here's hoping that my strategy works, because we're going to get hit here. We're going to defend here with F2. It's going to be Utica, Yuto, and Aselia in order to deal with this Inferno here. Shrouded Sword 2, Ice Vanisher 2. If you remember, Inferno was that ability that we had to deal with on the very second mission of the game. So Ice Vanisher 2 is strong enough to deal with this attack. It's still very dangerous and still very scary, but we can deal with it. And Yuto is a little inconsistent in this mission, but he can, at this point, still take Heaven Sword hits most of the time. There are certain tiles where he can't, but the desert specifically, elemental attacks do less damage. You can see that they have a minus percentage modifier here. So we can pretty comfortably take this attack in the desert, whereas in the forest we wouldn't be able to. Which is another challenge, right? But it's important to have Aselia in this formation because we do want her to be able to use Ice Vanisher twice. Characters like Shia or Nelly, again, would not be able to do that. And we're gonna sacrifice Formation 2 here because we want Formation 2 to take the middle path. So they're gonna go back north, and then they're gonna double back north and then go down the southwest path. So we're really going to abuse them here because we're gonna basically send them back to go heal immediately after this, if that makes sense. The strategy will make sense in motion. We're really just trying to be very, very greedy with the way that we use our units, because we're trying to be as fast as possible, if that makes sense. And here, to block Ether Sink 2, we need Ice Vanisher 3. This enemy is not a threat to us at all, and then we're going to use Utica to do damage to this Blue Spirit behind the Defender here, or past the Defender. I think Utica does enough damage here to kill this Blue Spirit, or at least get very close. Yeah, it looks like she does. Utica is very strong. It's interesting that Yuto's taking chip damage here, because I believe his defensive ability is over 300, but for some reason he's taking chip damage. She just barely doesn't kill here. That's a little bit disappointing. We're on turn 6. Oh, it's interesting. We're gonna train Nymthor again. I had other defenses, other defensive actions there on my strategy, but I'm wondering if I just didn't delete them properly. We're gonna train Nymthor again. And we are going to attack with F4 here. We're going to use Impulse Blow 1 to conserve the attack charges, and we're going to use Inferno to hopefully just murder this Heaven Sword enemy before they have the chance to attack us. Probably not, but that's the idea at least. I came up with this strategy last... I guess it was Friday, maybe? Okay. We're going to still take a big hit here, but we are going to be able to clean up this formation. So, we're fine with that. We do care about Inferno. Inferno is a very powerful ability. But we don't care about Impulse Blow 1, so the fact that we're able to clean up this formation using our least powerful attack on Aselia is a big deal. And then we're going to attack with Formation 2 here in order to deal with this Ether Sink enemy. So we're going to keep everything... Oh, we're not. Okay. We're going to try and, I guess, just murder this Blue Spirit here. Since we move Formation 2 north after this, we can be a little greedy with the way that we use our abilities. Passion is very powerful. It gives us a bigger offensive boost than Inspire does, which does matter, or will matter, for a very specific fight later on in this mission. I'll point it out when we get there, if I remember. And then this also gives us some chip damage on the Red Spirit, because we're doing counterattack. Not very much chip damage, but chip damage. 50 per hit. And then we're going to use Formation 1 here. We're going to do something a little cheeky. We're going to use Shia here to block. And we're going to use Firebolt so that we can serve our Flame Shower charges. Unfortunately, Nanadu does not do very much damage, but like I said, I could probably optimize this to drop a turn here or there, but once I had a strategy that worked, I really didn't feel like continuing to work at it. So feel free to try to optimize this if you'd like, but this mission was very, very demanding, so the fact that I got it at all, I'm happy with. And we can just defend with F1, with Formation 1 here. Sorry, I'm going to try not to skip the battles. Oh, I think I know what happened. Yeah. So here's where having Himika in this really helps. Because we can put Nelly in the support position and still be able to do a lot of damage with Himika. Flame Laser is level 6, so we want Ice Banisher level 3. Not that it matters in this particular case, because it will just regenerate all these charges later. But this will allow us still to do a lot of damage while not just getting blown up. Himika is still currently the only red spirit that can do this. If I wanted to do something similar to this, I would need to have like a black spirit or a blue spirit attacking. I would like to bring Hellion and Farin back into the party at some point. I don't think that I'm going to be getting a ton more units. So I'd like to be able to bring them back into the party once we get the all-rounder slots opened up. But as you can see, she's doing quite a bit of damage here. To herself as well, but, you know, to the defender also. Wind Whisper 3. Ability that I have not used and will continue to not use. Okay, so we're going to start moving Formation 2 back north. Because we want them to be available to start taking care of these enemies here. We're going to move F1 and F4 south. So we're on track where we need to be. And instead of training, we're actually going to attack here with Formation 3 to just do some more chip damage to this enemy. Everything's the same as it was, but we just want to sort of weaken this enemy so that we can move that direction if we need to. Again, like I said, you could probably optimize this further. I'm not going to pretend that this is optimal, but it was definitely good enough, and I probably spent 20 hours of my life trying to figure out this mission. So I'm willing to cut my losses here. I'm willing to cut my losses. We could have probably trained Nymthor here, but again, I don't think it matters. And this means that when this enemy attacks us next time, we can use Nelly in the attacker spot and Himika in the supporter spot and just kill them in one round of combat. We're going to defend F1 here. Impulse Blow 2, Accurate Block 6, and Flame Shower. These green spirits are pretty annoying, because they just make everything take longer. I think a party full of green spirits would be probably one of the most annoying parties that you can run in this game, because they do pretty good damage, but they just don't take damage. They heal, they're really defensive. Aselia, at least, can do a pretty big hit. And you can see there that because they have the negative 20% modifier, Aselia can actually take 2 of those hits, which is a big deal. And then we're just going to do a bunch of damage here. We almost just killed that Black Spirit outright. And I think this gets moved here. Alright, we're on turn 8. We're going to move F2 north so that they can heal and be ready to fight in the next turn. We're going to train Nymthor here. This gets her to level 20. So she's going to have a bunch more HP after this. A significant amount more HP. We're going to attack with Formation 2 here. We're going to use Leap Attack 2. And Flame Shower to hopefully defeat this Blue Spirit without taking damage on the return swing here. So that Aselia is able to take another hit later, which is going to be a big deal. Because this path is kind of a gauntlet here. We have to go through like 4 Heaven Sword enemies before we make it to Deodogan. Because we got another one here, and then we got another one here. And we've already gone through 2. We'll remove F4 south. These enemies move north. We'll be able to fight them using Formation 2 later. And we're going to defend here with, and this is where I say we're going to be really greedy, right? We have to be really efficient with Shia, and we're going to allow Shia to take this hit because she's going to be able to kill this red spirit on the backswing. And we're going to use Accurate Block 5 to conserve our block charges. Oh, I should have used Accurate Block 4, 5 there. I think I used Accurate Block 4. Hopefully that doesn't matter. It probably will matter. Yeah, I did that wrong. Shoot. I mean, just barely lived that. Let's, I don't remember when my last safety save was, but let's give it a shot. Let's see how this works. Like I said, it's very easy to make very simple mistakes like that. But Accurate Block 4 only blocks 1 time, which is why it's a challenge. Which is why it's a bad thing that I did that. Let's try it. I'm gonna play it through, see if it works. I suspect that it's not going to, but we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna defend with F2 here. SUY, doesn't matter what we do. We could have defended with Formation 3 there, but it didn't matter. When was my last save? Ooh, quite a bit ago. Oops. Let's just make another save here. Let's see if we can claw this back here. Oops. We're going to swap Aselia with Orpha. And we're going to attack with F4. It's going to be Aselia using Fury. We're going to have actually use the correct skill this time. since this activates twice. And we're going to use Harvest to heal ourselves. Ideally, I would be able to use Earth Prayer here, but because we're going to kill this enemy on the backswing, we will only get one Divine Magic round for this combat. Unfortunately. And then we're going to move Formation 1 south. We're going to attack Formation 2. And so we're on a little bit of a timer here now. Heaven's Sword, Dark Impact. So somewhat ironically, the middle path is probably the hardest path from a combat perspective, because there's several continuation battles that you have to be able to do, which is always kind of a challenge. But it's also going to be the path that we use to actually take Malorgan. Because it's the shortest path. So it's kind of an interesting little twist there. My initial strategy for this mission ignored the middle path entirely. So we've gone through quite a few evolutions here in order to get this to a better place. And then we're going to attack with F3 here, going south. Nelly, Nymthor, Himika, we're going to use Fireball. I think Fireball should be able to just kill this Black Spirit here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And we get some pretty big hits on this Blue Spirit. Here comes the cat. So, moment of truth. Are we strong enough to live this hit? I think we should be. We're gonna use, what is this? Hallian Asperia Aselia here. But I don't think we'll be able to do the follow-up attack properly. Let's find out. We took that pretty well, actually. We were at like 29 before. That did 15. I think we just barely don't survive it. And we just use Hallian for some chip damage here. Turn 10. We're going to swap Orpha with Aselia. We're going to attack with Formation 1. We're going to use Impulse Blow 2, Accurate Blocks 6, and Flame Shower. This is going to be the moment of truth. I don't think that we live here, so I think I am going to have to redo this. Which is a bummer, but because I did backup saves, not the end of the world. Yeah, okay. Like I said, it's inconsistent how Heaven's Sword works. Okay. We're going to continue here. We're going to go back to this save. This is turn 4 out of turn 9. We're going to do this real quick here. We're going to move F1, F2, and F4. And we are going to train Nymthor. We'll do this a lot faster this time. I'm going to do Fireball here. Get my cat lay down. There she goes. Good girl. Okay, we're on turn 5 here. We're going to keep moving everybody south. And we're going to train Nymthor again. We're going to defend with F2 here. Away. Utica, Yuto, Aselia. Ice Banisher 2, Shrouded Sword 2. A classic. We're going to defend with F2 again. Utica, Yuto, Aselia, Ice Banisher 3. Turn 6, train Nymthor again. We're going to attack with F4 here, which is going to be Impulse Blow 1 and Inferno. We're going to attack with F2. Which is going to be Aselia, Utica, Yuto, with Heaven's Sword 1 and Passion. And then we're going to attack with F1, which is going to be ES and N. We're going to use Firebolt here. We're going to use Power Strike 2. It's kind of interesting that Green Spirits have such good offensive abilities, because they're very rarely do I attack with them. Kind of an interesting quirk here. And then we're going to defend. Same thing here, ESN. And we're going to defend with Formation 3 here, which needs to be HNN. And we'll keep it the way it is. We'll just say Ice Vanisher 4. I don't know why this didn't happen this way last time. What's interesting is that Nymthor has really good resist compared to the other green spirits, but for whatever reason she just doesn't take hits from Heavensward very well. Move F1, F4 south. And we're going to attack west with F3. Same thing, HNN. We're going to defend with SEN here. Impulse Blow 2, Accurate Block 6, Flame Shower. Alright, turn 8. Let's make our save here, so I don't keep messing things up. We're going to move F2 north. We're going to train Nymthor again. You'll see that she's going to get like an extra 100 HP from this promotion. And we're going to attack with Formation 1, which is going to be SEN again. Leap Attack 2. And we're going to move Formation 4 south. Okay. We're going to defend with SEN again. We're going to use Impulse Blow 2. And we're going to use Accurate Blow 5. Because it activates twice. And we're going to use Flame Shower. Alright? Don't mess it up. You can see we saved probably about 600 HP from that. We're going to defend from... It doesn't matter what we do here. Okay. Turn 9. Formation. Swap Aselia and Orpha. Follow the same strategy. We're going to attack with F4. We're going to use Fury. And we're going to use Harvest. Now the reason why we use Harvest here is because I need both of these characters to be healed. And we're only going to get one Divine Magic phase. If we had leveled up Hallion, we would have had more healing there, but we didn't, so we don't. We're going to attack south, Formation 2. SYU, same situation here. Heaven Sword and Dark Impact. And then we're going to attack with Formation 3. There's going to be Nelly, Nymthor, and Himika. And then we're going to defend HEA. Strike 2, Accurate Block 6. You see, we've got about 600 more HP there than we did last time. In Ice Vanisher 2. Okay, turn 10. Make a backup save here. We're back to where we were before. We're going to swap Orpha with Aselia. We're going to attack with Formation 1. And we're going to Impulse Blow 2, Accurate Block 6, Flame Shower. We need to do Impulse Blow 2 so we don't get hit by Inferno. We need to do a Flame Shower to deal damage to this Heavensward enemy. It's possible that Flame Shower on its own would be enough here, I don't know. Again, this strategy worked for me, I'm not going to mess with it too much. And Aselia should barely live this hit. Yep. So that extra 600, 500 HP made a big difference. And then we're going to attack with F4. We're going to do something a little bit strange here. But because Orpha, this Heavensward enemy, doesn't have any charges left, we can be really greedy here. I mean, it's not greedy. It looks greedy, but it's not. Impulse Blow 2, Earth Prayer 2. We're going to heal Hallian while we destroy this formation. So that Hallian will be at close to full HP. Like you see there, she's basically max HP here, which means that she can tank another hit, which is what we need from her. And we just barely do enough damage to kill this enemy, so we get perfect offensive momentum doing that. And since we want Formation 1 to go back up north after this, the fact that they're a tile behind doesn't matter to us. We're going to attack with Formation 2. SYU, we'll just do Impulse Blow 2 here, I guess. I don't know why I decided I needed to do that. Oh, because I'm trying to conserve. Charges. And then we're going to attack with Formation 3. Nelly, Nymthor, Himika. We're still kind of in the phase of letting some of these enemies come to us, so that we can fight them while we're on the city, or we don't have to fight them while they're on the town. Both of which are typically negative outcomes for us. We either want to have the defensive advantage, or we want to be in the middle of nowhere, if we can help it. Fortunately, Himika has enough HP that she can take hits here. Otherwise, this would be a little challenging. Yep, she just barely beats that enemy, and then she gets to get another hit on this supporter. She did quite a bit of damage there too, actually. We're going to defend with F2 here, SYU. I guess. We're on turn 11 here. We're going to move formation 1 north now. We're going to move formation 4 south. We're going to attack with formation 2 west. We're going to do Yuto, Utica, Aselia. Frenzy 2, Ice Banish 3. What we're doing here is we're trying to absorb the Heaven Sword charges. So we want to attack them on their phase so that we can heal up before they attack them, before we get attacked by them next time, if that makes sense. Or use up both of their charges before they attack us, that way we don't have to worry about it at all. Right? So we want to be offensive against this enemy, otherwise we just have to take that hit. Without, we have to take the hit uncontrollably, right? It might be the case that we need to take a hit from somebody else, and if we take that hit from this Heaven Sword enemy, we might not be able to do that. This also does good chip damage, because they hit us multiple times for quite a lot of damage. Frenzy 2 would be a really powerful ability if we had the mind value for it. And then we're going to train Himika here, which is a little bit of an interesting choice. I don't know why I decided to do that, but I'm going to follow the strategy here. But she gets an upgraded version of Triple Swing from this, so not totally wasteful. It's a pretty big increase in damage, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it. Alright, let's take a backup save here. I've already messed up once. We're going to move formation 1 north. We're going to move formation 4 northeast. You can build a strategy where you just send one unit this way and one formation this way, but going this way allows us to use our abilities really optimally and then refresh them, which actually makes taking this formation a lot faster. We're going to attack F2 west. Again, we're trying to do the same thing where we're trying to absorb this enemy's Heaven Sword charges. It's actually Heaven Sword 2, not even Heaven Sword 1. We're going to do Fury and Resist. I don't know why I decided to do it this way, but I have to trust the process at this point. Aselia is actually a really good character. She's not quite as offensively statted as Aselia is, but her ability to attack, to have a elemental attack, and then also to attack attackers directly is really, really important. And then we can attack with Formation 3 because this enemy doesn't do any damage anymore. Which is nice. And because we're not getting hit, we can take this ether sink without a big deal, without it being a big deal. It still does a lot of damage to us. I think green spirits have an extra negative modifier to their resistance, regardless of what their resistance value actually is, just because of how much damage they take, or seem to take. And we used Fireball there instead of Lightning Fire because we killed the enemy regardless, so it didn't matter. And then we'll kill this attacker, so it'll be just the supporter on any follow-ups. Okay. We're going to defend here like this. This will allow us to heal up because we'll use Passion, and because this enemy has used all of their Fury charges, we can use Aselia to block, which is nice. Is that Arabic? It almost looks like it's cursive, but it almost looks like Arabic. Oh, actually, it might. It does look like Arabic, doesn't it? What the heck? I never noticed that. I don't think it is. I think it's gibberish, but. It might just be cursive, but there's enough artifacting that it looks like it's disjointed. And then we'll attack with F2 again. Just want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong here, because I definitely feel like I am. But I need Heaven Sword here, plus Passion, I think, to make sure that this enemy dies. No, I guess not, because I could probably just use regular old Heaven Sword. Oh well. Trust the process. So, turn 13. We're going to continue moving F1 north. I made a backup save there because we're going to start moving F2 south here. It's kind of a moot point because we're way behind, but we want to be careful and make sure that when we're fighting in Mieyu, that this unit isn't there. These two units are continuation battles, this one's not. This formation genuinely is going to take us probably about 3 turns to get through. Whereas if these two formations are on Mieyu, we can take Mieyu in a single turn, right? And we're going to wait for Formation 1 to get to us, so we're going to continue to train Formation 3. And we're going to train Nelly this time, just to sort of keep everybody roughly at parity, if possible. And then we get to attack with F4, and it's important that we have Hallian here at full HP, because otherwise, I don't think that she'd be able to live this attack. We have an enemy with Ice Banisher, but it only activates once, so Inferno activates twice. And then we have our best attacking ability here. And this allows us to do a single round of combat, or take this town in a single round of combat. We could also potentially use Impulse Split 2 plus Formation, because you're going to see that we just barely don't kill with 2 Fury hits. So we have quite a bit of extra damage here. So if you're struggling to get here on time, feel free to use Fury for something else, because I think Impulse Blow 2 plus Inferno is enough. But this is a pretty scary attack. You can see that they have plus 15%, which means that they're going to do quite a bit more damage here than they were doing during the in the desert. We almost kill here. But the second use of Inferno cleans up. And because we took the town, we're going to heal a little bit. Not completely, but we're going to heal a little bit. And we're going to regain all of our attack charges, which means that we'll be fresh to take on these enemies down here. We get 2 trainers and 2 engineers, I think. Water Shield 5! I think Nelly is our most offensive blue spirit, for whatever that matters. Alright, turn 14. We move Formation 1 north. We move Formation 2 south. And we move Formation 4 southwest. And let's train Himika again. Turn 15 here. We finally have Formation 1 back up north here. What we're going to do is we're going to start weakening this enemy. Triple Swing 2. Nice Banisher 4. Himika does enough damage that she's going to one-shot, or one-round this green spirit, which is pretty impressive. That's pretty difficult to do. And we move Formation 2 south. If we move Formation 4 south. Alright, we're on turn 16 now. Make another backup save. Let's attack with F2 here. So what should happen is we'll attack with F2, then they'll attack us on their turn, and then we'll kill them on our turn. If I remember correctly. We're going to do SYU. We're going to do Impulse Blow 2, Yuto, and Dark Impact here. I'd like a version of Dark Impact that activated twice. I think that'd be really big. What I need from Utica is another attack that isn't Full Moon Sword. Well, ideally, and another support ability that isn't Bloodlust. Because I'm trying to keep all of the spirits at high mind, the fact that Full Moon Sword is not at full attack is a little bit underwhelming. Okay. We're going to keep moving Formation 4 into position, and we're going to do something a little bit interesting here. We're going to train Aselia, and we're going to train Nymthor again. We're going to defend here with Formation 3, for the same reason that we attacked them with Formation 3 before. Let me see, that's a lot of damage. She did almost 2,000 damage with one hit. And we're going to defend with F2 here. And we're going to do same thing. We're going to do, instead, we're going to do Heaven Sword. And, you know, Dark Impact like normal. Lightning Strike, which is a downgrade from Power Strike, for some reason. And the Nymthor gets another block skill and 300 more HP. So pretty good. We're on turn 17 here. We're going to keep moving F4 southwest. Right, we're on 17. And we're going to attack with Formation 2 here. Aselia can take this hit. We need Passion to help us heal. Oh, careful. The cat's trying to lay on my monitor. Which, as long as she's not on the keyboard, I'm okay with. She almost kills here. But not quite. And then we're going to attack with F3 here. It doesn't matter what we do. So we'll just do it like this. It's kind of weird that Nelly has 7 charges of Impulse Blow when she attacks 3 times. So there are often times where I'm really trying to take advantage of the 1 extra Impulse Blow attack. Which we're doing here. And we really want Formation 3 here with Formation 1 in order to make up for time. Because this is also, even though we only have 1 enemy, this is also a very long route that we want to take. Alright. Turn 18. Impulse Blow 2. And Passion. This will heal up Utica and Yuta so they can take a hit. And it'll use up the odd charge of Impulse Blow. So we now we'll have 2 charges for our next couple battles. We do go through a lot of resources doing this with only 1 formation, but we can just barely make it work because Yuto and Utica both have between them quite a few attacks. So as long as we use Aselia effectively, we should be alright. And as you can see, we got these extra enemies. These enemies are all going to go down this middle path. So we really want Formation 2 here because Formation 2 is like the most self-sufficient formation that we have. And they can deal with this enemy in particular, right? These 2 enemies in particular very, very well. We're going to use Formation 1 and 3 west. This formation will move into this tile this next turn, which will give us a lot of, which will allow us the offensive advantage rather than the defensive advantage. And we're going to attack with F4 here. These enemies are not dangerous. They're really just there to take up space and make us waste time. But we can just barely make it if we do it this way. And because they really don't do very much damage, we're not really worried about Hallian at all. So we're using Fury, and then we're using Inferno to deal with these 2 enemies here. It's a little overkill. We probably could have gotten away with like Fury plus Flame Shower, but it would have been kind of the same difference. Like I said, the strategy works. I'm not really trying to optimize it at this point. If it was my job to play games, which I, to be clear, don't really want it to be, then I would have I think probably a better strategy that would be able to do this in like 28 turns instead of 30 turns, but my job is to give you guys the bare minimum. And by bare minimum, in this case, I mean the best possible rank, but with whatever turns I can makes it work. Alright, turn 19. We've got 3 continuation battles here for Formation 2. We're going to do Heaven Sword 1 plus Passion. This will allow us to one-hit this enemy. And it'll heal up Uruka to full HP, which is important. Uh-oh. That was interesting. Oh, because it's a field effect, that's why. As you can see, Aselia's ability to do damage is pretty effective. She's probably our hardest hitting unit at this point. We're going to attack here. Impulse Blow 2. And we're going to use Harvest in order to heal up Pallion. The reason why I'm using Harvest here is because I guess it actually doesn't matter. Whatever. I could probably use Earth Prayer, but I'll just use Harvest because and maybe Aselia needs to be healed or something. I don't know. Who cares? And Impulse Blow 2 does enough damage to kill this enemy in 2 hits in 1 round of combat, so we're okay with that. Just like that. 2 rounds is not bad. We're going to swap Nanadu with Nelly here. And we're going to attack with Formation 1. The reason why we're doing this, and what really makes this difficult, is that we need the ability to block this Ether Sink. So we're going to attack here with Xia, Impulse Blow 2, Accurate Block 6, and Ice Banisher 4. So the reason we have to be able to take this hit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because we can't afford to use a unit that's attacking the attacker because we need to attack the supporter here. Hopefully that makes sense. But I believe Asperia can take 2 hits here, which is nice. Yeah, she can just barely take 2 hits, so that extra level really mattered. Which is kind of funny. And we're going to end our turn. Because Nymthor cannot take a Heaven Sword attack and a Ether Sink attack in the same round of combat. Okay, I'm going to make another save here because we've got a lot of combat coming up. But we are going to take Miyu. So let's attack. Formation 2. SUY. We're going to use Fury. And we're going to use Resist. This is the battle that I was talking about where the passion really makes a difference. We're going to use Resist because that increases our resistance. And since Heaven Sword is a elemental attack, this means that Uruka will take less damage from Heaven Sword attack if I do this. In theory. You can see that this has a plus 35% elemental modifier, so this enemy hits very hard. Even with resist, she barely survives. But here's the trick. When I switch this to Passion, with Passion specifically, this is not true with Inspire, but with Passion specifically, Aselia does enough damage with Fury to kill this enemy, so Utica will not take another attack. And that's a big deal, because that makes this strategy possible. Without this strategy would not be possible. Without Utica and Yuto specifically, this strategy would not be possible. Maybe you could use Asperia, but again, we can't have every character everywhere, right? That's part of the challenge of this game, and the challenge of this mission in particular, is that we would really love to have optimal units on each path. Right, I'd really love to have Nanaru in the south path. I'd really love to have, you know, whatever. But I can't afford to do that because that creates too many other issues. And now we're just going to use Inspire so we can save Passion charges. But this is a pretty grueling gauntlet. You need to have a lot of attacks available in order to make this work. But we've dealt with the hardest part, which is the Heaven Sword unit. At this point, you're just trying to use your attacks efficiently or effectively. And we're trying to heal up Utica so that way she can take a hit if she needs to. She should be able to one-round this enemy here. I'm going to speed this up because this is going to take a while. And then we'll do it again. We'll try to Sword 2. What's interesting is that as she's using Shrouded Sword, when she starts using lower resist, she'll start losing mind. You'll see. You'll see when we get to it. She'll start losing mind, and that will make it so that she's able to use Full Moon Sword on the second continuation battle, which gives her, again, another attack that she can use effectively. We're going to do it this way now. We're going to use Frenzy 2 just to use it up, and we're going to use Lower Resist to start lowering her mind value. We're not doing resistance damage, so this is literally just to lower her mind value. And then we have the second battle here. We're going to have Aselia, Utica, and Yuto. We're going to do Fury here. I'm tempted to change this up a little bit, but I'm not going to. Fury is a really powerful ability, so we're going to use Passion to buff this as much as possible. We're going to use Utica here with Full Moon Sword, since that attacks the attacker directly. And that will prevent this enemy from attacking Aselia. You can see that Aselia and Yuto are both, like, basically full HP at this point. All of our characters are basically full HP at this point. So, despite how challenging that initial continuation battle was, we have like quite a bit of gas in us left. We're going to move back here. Use Fury just for another big hit on this enemy here. And then we're going to start doing this. Frenzy plus lower resist. Frenzy plus lower resist. We're going to use Heavy Attack 2 just to churn up these extra defensive charges here. We'll do Dark Impact to start dealing chip damage on this enemy. We'll do this again. And then we will do Full Moon Sword plus Passion. And hopefully kill this enemy. Now we'll be right back to being above 80 mind. But it did what we needed it to do. It wasn't necessary. We would have had enough, I think, attack charges anyway, because we still had Frenzy 1. But, you know, it does what it needs to do. We're also going to build a training facility here. Before I forget, we're going to attack here with Formation 4. AHO. We're going to use Inferno, and we're going to use Impulse Blow again. To the two people that watch these videos, let me know if you're okay with me using the skip for these. I feel like it's harder to watch, but it definitely makes the videos a lot longer if I don't skip combat. So just let me know. First, same as the first. This is the same setup that we had previously. We can barely survive this attack, so barely surviving is the same thing as surviving. Right? For our purposes, at least. And this will use up the enemy's last charge of Heaven Sword, which will allow us to finish them off with Formation 3, or do a lot of damage with Formation 3 at least. Ooh, so that extra level made a difference, didn't it? It's possible that Nimtor could have survived an attack. I haven't bothered to try. And then we're gonna do triple swing and flame shower to just do a bunch of damage to these enemies. And by a bunch of damage, I mean a bunch of damage. Nanadu is our lowest level character, and she is like just about one-shotting a lot of these units. She is extraordinarily powerful, if you can use her. And we just barely don't kill, but that's fine, because they'll attack us on this turn. And we'll defend with, who cares, F1, yeah. Turn 21. I'm going to do something a little different here. So, we could train characters in here, but this is closer and it already has the facilities built. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these characters around. Nelly, Himika, Nymthor, and Nelly have already had training this mission. So we're going to swap back to our original formations, and we're going to move Formation 1 east, while we use Formation 1 to take the town and take the mana crystal. Attack with F4 here. We're going to use Fury because we can. Because, let me talk about this. Because this is a all-rounder, we can actually afford to use Lightning Discharge, or Lightning Fire instead. So we're going to be, again, pretty greedy with the way that we use our abilities here. We just barely don't kill this unit. This is probably the situation where I could optimize the most. If I used a Flame Shower earlier, we probably would have killed here. But we wouldn't have had enough time to do anything extra, so it doesn't really matter. And then in this situation, we want to just end the turn because we want to be able to train next turn with Formation 2. And we have taken almost every enemy on the map this way. So we are being very, very efficient and very effective with the way that we are doing this. Move F1 east, so they can train starting next turn. And so you'll see we're on turn 22. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 turns to get to this final mission. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have exactly enough to do this mission on time. We'll just do Impulse Blow 2, so we can save our attack charges, and we'll just use Flame Shower here. So I could have definitely optimized probably another turn, maybe 2 if I was really pushing it. But I like having an even number, so sue me. As long as you can kill this unit in 1 round of combat, which we will be able to, you should be okay. And we're going to start training Yuto here. Because we want him to have more stats, we want him to have better attacks, better abilities. Because he is still the main character, we still need him to be strong, because there are going to be several situations, including in this mission, where he has to fight by himself. There's not, like, those missions are not that, those fights are not that challenging, but it is important that we be prepared for it. We get Violent Block 5, which is a meaningful improvement. We're going to train let's train Aselia. I do feel like there's more of a burden on the green spirits than there are on the red spirits or the blue spirits. So I do want the green spirits to be a higher level than I do the red spirits and the blue spirits. We're going to use Violent Block 4, or 5, because we just got it. Might as well use it. And then this should level 7 skills, and Arc Flare is a level 7 skill, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay. Again, these 3 battles, being continuation battles, mean that we can actually chew through them very, very quickly. If these were normal formations, this would actually be a much tighter timing requirement, believe it or not. The fact that they're continuation battles actually helps us in this case, which I find is often the case, actually. And we're using Utica to take out this Arc Flare character because they're annoying. And we want to be able to use our other characters to do other things. Like this. We're going to use Passion and Fury. See if we can one-shot this enemy here. We might be able to. Especially with this chip damage from counterattack. Yeah, just barely, huh? Look at that. Passion coming up clutch. And then, of course, we're going to use Heaven Sword here. Which should just murder this enemy. Now, hopefully I don't have to re-record all of this. I don't know what the next mission's going to look like. So hopefully, you know, this doesn't put us in like a really negative space, but I'm confident that it won't. It feels like we've had quite a few, like, continuous battles, so. More harvest, more HP. Yuto gets concentration. So concentration increases defense. So we're going to overwrite Inspire. This means we now have abilities that increase defense, resistance, and power. Right? Passion is a better version of Inspire for our purposes because we can plan around the defense and resist demerits. So we can really use it purely for its offensive ability without having to worry about its defensive inability. So this just gives us more defensive options, which again is important because we need Yuto to be as flexible as possible. We're going to move Formation 3 northwest, take this town. We are going to move Formation 4 west again. You know, got to keep doing this every turn. We're going to train Yuto. And we're going to train Aselia again. I'm really just shooting for level 20 for these units so that they can hit the promotion benchmark. It's pretty arbitrary. I don't think that actually matters, but it makes me feel better. And we've got another attack skill, so we're going to overwrite Fury 2 here. I haven't made a safety save in a while. Let's do that. Continue moving these guys west, right? We're really just waiting on Formation 3 and Formation 4 at this point. And we're taking advantage of them having to move in order to continue training our units. We're going to train Aselia one more time. And we're going to continue training no, let's train Celia this time. Since we got Explode, we got Concentration, we got Violent Block 5, let's start training Celia instead. Try to keep everybody at parity as much as possible. I accidentally updated the wrong thing. Same thing here. We're going to use Fury and we're going to use Resist. Again, with Resist, Utica can only take one hit. That's alright, we only need her to take one hit. Yuto, because of those extra levels, is now significantly stronger than he was previously. So he can now definitely take this hit. And Utica has enough HP that she can absorb this Chaos Impact. Because of the Resist as well. He can't take two, but he can definitely take the hit. And previously he wasn't able to take that hit. Trust me, I tried. No, this doesn't even have Chaos Impact. It's an Ice Vanisher. What a joke. Alright. We're going to use Shrouded Sword here and with Passion. This enemy now no longer does any damage. We're going to do this again. I'm going to start, again, fast forward through this because it's a lot of combat. And then we're going to use Heaven Sword here to finish off this enemy. Alright. So, Aselia has a lot of HP now. She's very tanky. Ice Banisher 4, that replaces Ice Banisher 2. It is important that we keep our blue spirits above or past the curve of the red spirits. Now, we're on 226. One, two, three. So on turn 29, turn 28, we need to move. Turn 26, we're going to train Aselia again. And we're going to train Shia. I don't think Nanadu needs as much help as Shia does. I want Shia to get another attacking ability. Move formation 3. And attack with formation 4. We're going to use Impulse Below 1. And we're going to use Lightning Fire. And believe it or not, this is going to be enough damage to kill this enemy in one round of combat. When we take this village, it's going to give us more mana that we can use to then continue training. Do just barely enough damage here, but enough is enough. Oh, actually, Aselia is very tanky too, for relative to a blue spirit. So we're going to demolish this recovery facility. I should have done this last turn, or much earlier than this, but we don't need it. We are on turn 27. We're going to train Shia and Aselia again. move F3 southwest, and move F4 south. And then we get another pretty easy continuation battle here. We're going to do this again. Same thing again. Heaven Sword 1 with Dark Impact. And then we're going to do Passion plus Shrouded Sword to finish off this supporter. Okay, it is now turn 28. We're going to continue moving this character south. Or west, we're going to continue moving this character south. We're going to start moving this character west. We get some dialogue here.
Yo, Yuto, 遅かったな。相変わらずその剣とは仲良くやってるようだな。俺たちが戦う意味。お前たちを倒せば大将が真剣を暴走させる必要もない。言うと俺たちにはそれぞれ大切なものがあるだろう。こっちの大将にもどうやら譲れないものがあるらしい。それはそっちの女王さんも同じだろう。それが意味として嘘だ。今日は真剣に飲まれている。このままでは壊れちゃう。少しでも楽にさせてやるためには眷属である剣を破壊するしかない。そのことは僕も知っている。お前の求め、俺の意味、秋月の誓い。互いが互いを憎んでいる。今日の風景。あいにく今は俺が京子に殺されてやるわけ。それは一番最後。まずは秋月、そして優子。お前を倒して順番が逆に聞くが、女王さんを裏切ってこっちに協力するか？それはできないだろう。お前が香織ちゃんを助けるために戦うように、俺は京子を守るために戦うしかないんだ。俺にとって京子以上に大切なものはこの世界でも向こうの世界でも存在しない。悪いな、優斗。残念ながら京子にはその時間はないんだ。お前ならわかるだろう。この剣がどれだけ危険なものか。 それにな、ユウト、俺はお前に消えてほしいんだ。お前がいると京子の心が揺れる。俺にとってはユウト、お前は邪魔なんだよ。それにな、一度でいいから俺はお前と全力でやり合ってみたかったんだ。言葉の通りだ。俺はお前と全力でやり合ってみたい。お前にだって時間はないだろう。早く俺を殺さないと臨界になって全部吹っ飛ぶ。つまりはそういうことだ。悪いが死んでくれ。苦しまないように全力で消してやる。行くぜ。
Okay. We are, I think, over prepared for this. Although I should have used different abilities here. This fight is not that challenging, to be clear. We basically just have to outlast Koin ability usages, and then once he runs out of defensive abilities, we just attack him and kill him. Beat him? I don't know if we kill him or not. But he doesn't do enough damage for us to really be that worried about it. I mean, he definitely does do damage, but not that much damage. As you can see, we're already starting to win this. And with Explode, we have a very powerful attack that we can use now, which is much stronger than Frenzy 2 was. That did 2400 damage. Versus, like, the 800 that Frenzy 2 used to do.
俺は大丈夫だ。しばらく休んでいればどうとでもなる。まだこいつも死んじゃいないからな。行け、京子を頼む。あいつを救ってやってくれ。臨界を迎えればみんな吹っ飛ぶことになるだけだ。だから行け。約束だな。まったくこんな時でもお前ってやつは。ああ、分かってる。早く行ってこい。京子のことよろしく頼むぜ。なんたって俺たちのじゃじゃ馬姫様だからな。 すがに疲れたな。たく、あいつは相変わらず騙されやすいな。だからほっとけないんだ。いろいろとかっこつけてきたけど、最後はなんかいまいちだな。これで俺の役割も終わりか。言うと、お前は頑張れよ、京子。愛してたんだ。これでもクソ。
He sure is long-winded for a guy that's dying.
まったく、ほんといまいちだな。
ラキオスのエトランジ、求めの言うと、お前は空虚の敵、求めも因果も誓いもすべて滅ぼす。生き残るのは私。それ以外は滅べばいい。私は空虚、求めの主。ここで消す。無駄だ、求めの主。すでにこの娘の心は地へと沈んでいる。お前の言葉は届かず、二度と浮かび上がることはない。もう京子という存在はない。この者の心を取り戻したければ、私を倒すなら体の保証はできないがな。
よし、無茶な言う
我は勝利者。君はみんなの誓いを消してやろう。すべてのマナーは我のもの。戦いの時だけわずかに心を戻そう。その方が戦いやすいだろう。私
京子、今助ける。
逃げて、早く。
Unlike the previous fight, this is scripted, so we can neither win nor lose this fight.
真剣地帯を狙えば
Or the next fight, actually. We've done all the hard parts already. We just need to finish the mission.
殺してやる。呼びかけてみるか。それも面白いな。助け。ダメ、来ないで。私いっぱい殺しちゃったよ。スピリットたちいっぱいだよ。それに人だって。ダメだよ。だって私ユウにまでこんなこと。私生きてちゃダメだよ。かおりちゃんを助けるの邪魔していっぱい殺しちゃってさ。
I believe, let me see if I can pull up the page here. The correct here is, so atone for it.
私には何もないの。ユウみたいにかおりちゃんを助けるとかそういうのは何もないの。ただ帰りたいからって自分のわがままだけ自分の勝手で殺しているんだよ。私人殺しなんて嫌だよ。でもそれなのにもう私こんなに殺しちゃってる。私自信ないよ。また取り込まれたら私どうなるかわからないよ。私を殺すとまたあいつが出てくるよ。もうだからお願い。約束だから。時間切れだ。所詮は心の弱い存在。私の強制に勝てるはずもなかったか。
ダメだったよ。もう空虚の気配しかない。あの娘の心は弱い。空虚程度の力すらも抗うことができない。我々同士のそんな優しいものではない。
それでは行くぞ。求めの担い手。
This is another scripted fight.
諦めない。諦めてたまるか。もっとだ。もっと力を引き出せ。俺たちの力はこんなんじゃないぞ。
go ahead and speed this up. I'm a little worried I'm going to run out of space on my computer. 2.5 hour video. Look at that nose. Okay. We got a bunch of mana from that, it turns out. My cat's sitting on top of my mouse. Let's go ahead and... We're turn 28. Let's go ahead and train Shia some more. There are no more enemies on the mission, on the map. I'm going to, I think, continue to train Shia until she gets a new attack. Because I don't think Nanadu needs the help at all, actually. So, we're getting our last couple of extra supporters here. Make sure that you do this before you move F2 to Milorgan, otherwise you lose this opportunity. This is only 10,000 mana, but mana is mana. This gets us an extra trainer, which is nice. And some more mind, which is nice. And she goes some more mana as well, actually. I don't know that he's going to be helpful in the battles, because he's not fighting, but... And then, let's train Shia again. Like I said, I'm committed to trying to get another... trying to get another attack for her. There it is. Oh yeah.
それにもう一つ悪い知らせだ。釣り人とデオドガンから流れたエーテルとマロリガンの動力中枢にある動力結晶から産出されたマナ消失現象の効果範囲が予想された。影響範囲はほぼ大陸全域。ケド銀の本当の切り札はこれだったんだ。もうここまで来るとマロリガンの動力中枢を直接止めるしか暴走を食い止める手段はない。とにかく動力中枢にたどり着いてくれ。解除の指示は直接私が出す。今この大陸の命運を握っているのはお前だ。次の通信は中枢に潜り込んでからだ。悪いがそっちから連絡を入れてくれ。一度イオの理想に対して思念を飛ばしてくれればそのままこちらから
All right, I'm going to stop it there. This was a very long video, a very long mission. I hope you can see the amount of practice and optimization that went into this, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.